We are back for another State of the Franchise. And since last Wednesday, when Jason and I came on here and talked about a lot of different things, many things have changed, including the quarterback room. The final 53-man roster was cut. Some predictions came to fruition. We got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about on today's State of the Franchise episode. But before we get into it, drop your spicy sourdoughs in the chat. Let's cook. That's Jason Aponte. I'm Brad Graham. We're going to get into it all right now. Woo! Jason Aponte in the building. I'm Brad Graham. Boy, oh boy, has a lot of stuff went down since last Wednesday when we did this. So I'm gonna pass it to you as like a smorgasbord of topics and let you put your hand into the hat and pick out which topic you want to discuss first, because we got all kinds of stuff to talk about.
Well, first of all, how are you, Brad? That's the first topic. That's what I want to know. It's like, how are you? How's everything going on with you? Is it the mental's good? Everything good? Everybody just vibing? Like, that's what I want to hear.
Mentals are okay. I'm on the verge of my villain arc after the 49ers let go of Il Manning, and I'm just trying to process this whole situation as he is now a Cardinal. So I'm like in my goob phase right now, where like I'm teetering on the brink of like, all right, how are we going to process this moving forward? But other than that, it's been a pretty quiet offseason, right? Nothing's really going on for the 49ers. So
I mean, I don't know how we cover a team so boring. Honestly, at this point. I don't think there's any other content creators that can literally just say that you wake up and there's news for you to talk about. Again, we're not the content creators. The San Francisco 49ers are, and they're the greatest show on turf in the world, whatever. And it just doesn't stop. It's an endless news cycle. I guess the first thing we should talk about is why 49ers Twitter is losing their mind over a Reddit post.
Why are they? Or like you want to dissect the psychology behind the people who throw their hands up in the air on a daily basis on Twitter, or just the nature of where we are at with Nick Bosa?
Well, let's start this with the level-headed stuff. If you're not concerned today on August 30th that nothing is done, then you either know something is going to happen or you are just plain naive. I still believe in my heart of hearts that the 49ers and Nick Bosa will get this done. Hopefully, the reports that have come out today about week one are still on the table. You like to hear things like that. But you'd be lying to yourself right now if you didn't say that you would be concerned on August 30th. I'm concerned. My concern level is a 6 now. It went from me all offseason saying, I'm not worried about it. They'll get it done. How could they, the 49ers need Nick Bosa more than Nick Bosa needs the San Francisco 49ers. Let's also say that. That's level-headed. Okay.
Very level-headed.
Now let's get spicy. Guys, of all the things that have gone on Twitter and all the things for everybody to be upset about, I took another one of those days that I do where I go and I touch grass and I look at the water and I sing songs and I run through a field and, I read books. And I wake up from a nap and I look at people posting a Reddit post from a guy named Josh Rosen, former 49er legend, and claiming that Josh Rosen, the faceless Redditor, broke the Christian McCaffrey trade and had it way before. And to add another layer onto the intrigue and subterfuge and everything that's going on with this Reddit post was him updating the post, going at Benjamin Albright, who he says doesn't know anything, and Benjamin Albright responding. My question is this, 49ers Twitter, 49ers YouTube, whoever is feeding into this. Of all the things that you could be up in arms about, of all the things that can send you into a tizzy, of all the things that can spark conversation, we are now on August 30th or August 29th or August 28th, whenever this came out. We are now at the point where a faceless person on Reddit posts something, and it has to be true that Nick Bosa is now traded to an AFC team, and then cites, well, it happened with DeForest Buckner, as if that is an apples to apples conversation, as if there was not a salary crunch because of COVID, or it's almost like you almost forgot the circumstances with why DeForest Buckner was traded. And it wasn't largely just his contract. It's COVID, knocked down the salary cap, didn't throw money up, like all that stuff. You could have recouped the 9th pick, which I don't think you could be upset about. What you used on a 9th pick is something that's completely different, but it's absolutely something completely that's different. So guys, look, if you want to kill each other over things, there's plenty of things that you can kill each other over. You want to panic about something, there's plenty of things that you could panic about. Like, I've got a bad feeling the vibes are off for the 49ers going into the season. The vibes are not immaculate right now. Nothing feels right.
They're kind of in the gutter.
Yeah. But this, of all things, come on, guys, please.
Bro, it was so funny because, like, obviously you see Twitter, like, going insane over this thing. And it's like, it is what it is. It's a Reddit post. It talks about this whole situation, and it's like, you don't know what it is or if there's any type of validity to it. But when it gets to the point when it becomes viral and people are reacting to it and talking about it, it's like, all right, well, it's a part of our news cycle now. And isn't that crazy that that's where we are at in today's news cycle, is that a anonymous Redditor can drive a conversation, at least for this particular fan base, and people can buy into it because why? Because it fits their narrative. It fits the kind of thought process of, well, Kyle and John have screwed this whole thing up with Trey, so of course they're going to screw it up with Nick Bosa. And remember what happened with Depot, and it just feels like it's like an easy thing to get people riled up on. So people are saying my mic is low.
Yeah, it sounds like it's cutting in and out. Like, I can hear you fine, but it does.
You can hear me out. All right.
Yeah,
well,
perfect.
Hopefully we'll
That's
get
perfect.
this thing
That's perfect.
figured
That's perfect.
out.
You sound great.
All right.
Sound perfect.
Beautiful. So, but it is hilarious though to see everyone kind of start spinning on it, because when it gets to a point where it's like everyone's commenting on my comment, like in my comments, like, did you see the Nick Bosa trade rumor? So I'm like, all right, well, this is what's being talked about right now. But it is funny when people take that stuff and they don't just like say, oh, this is what's being talked about. They're like, no, this is what's happening right now. Nick Bosa is on the verge of getting traded. I think those are two distinctly different things. And it's just pretty funny because obviously today, shout out to my guy, Jason Dumas with Crown Force Sports, came out, who's totally locked in and it's got super, super good sources, talked about how Nick Bosa is expected to be here week 1. And the 49ers are trying to get a deal done in the coming days. Now, there is a report based in, someone's credibility is on the line, someone who is in this business of talking about sports every day in a major market. That's where you put your like trust and more value into. There's a difference between talking about it and being like, this is interesting. Doesn't mean you have to believe it. Versus, all right, this guy, we know he's locked in, he's got sources, and that it's a completely different scenario, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you want easy engagement, here's your way to do it.
Yes.
Per source, Nick Bosa will eventually sign a deal with the San Francisco 49ers, which will pay him the most that a defender's ever made in NFL history. Boom. Per source. The way that the engagement goes is to say something that is high on the scale of probabilities and just put source in front of it. and then the thing to do after is, when it does come to fruition, is to retweet it over it and say, you see, I told you that this is exactly what would happen. Trust my source. You know what is funny to me? Twitter has literally been crushing Mike Silver, Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter, almost anybody who has actually said anything that is not what they liked. But now Josh Rosen on Reddit says that Nick Bosa is going to be traded, and you immediately believe it. And it's funny to me about like the whole, well, you got sources thing. Well, Mike Silver was trying to tell us that Trey Lance's arm was fatigued. We said both, BS. I'm sorry, I didn't curse. We said BS. He was right. They were talking all offseason about Trey Lance and trying to shop him, and they were looking for a trade. Trey Lance got traded. They were right. So while or the only thing that people are going to pivot to is, well, Mac Jones at 3, that never happened. Okay. Okay. Well, I hear you. But you can't discount anything that they ever say ever again just because of the one Mac Jones thing. And I think it's like when they say things you don't like, well, what does Rappaport know? What does Schefter know?
What does this guy know?
Put Josh Rosen on Reddit. He knows that he's being traded to an AFC team. Let's burn this whole thing down. Broke the
Christian McCaffrey trade, Jason.
Yeah, I know. Let's burn this whole thing down now. Let's burn it down for a fan base that needs sources so badly. Going after someone who is posting on Reddit and just running with that is insane behavior. It's very insane behavior.
It is insane behavior. But it definitely got the engagement that, that people were looking for, things like that. And, Jason says this all the time. He says, fits my narrative. And that's really what it is. Like, we live in a world right now where if it fits your narrative, you're going to amplify it. You're going to put more weight into it. You're going to put more credibility into it. If it fits your narrative, correct, Jason? Like, that's what it is. Like, you're muted, by the way. You're muted.
I don't believe things unless it confirms my priors. Because why would I? Why would I use new information to dignify and fix my thought process? Why? Because I can just cherry pick the things that fit, right? There's a large group of people that say something that goes against what I like. I'm not going to retweet that, and I'm going to call them a liar. But it doesn't matter who says anything that goes with what I've said. They're right because their thought processes align with mine. The confirmation bias and preconceived notions need to be confirmed. And you cannot take any pushback on that, even if you find out down the line that whatever it was that you were saying was absolutely 100% wrong. That's the problem with all this. So, yeah, hashtag fits my narrative. If it doesn't fit my narrative, get that out of here.
Yep. Shout out DJ, said smash that like button. And he just became a member to your channel, Jason.
Oh, let's go. He down with the Spicy
DJ.
Squad. Let's go. The Spicy Squad. The Spicy Squad, if you join, is going to get access to the Vernon Davis interview about an hour before everybody else is.
Oh, there you go. There's a nice incentive to join up and make sure you get subbed and what's it called? It's not subscribed. It's
channel member. Join the channel member. Yeah.
Join the channel. Yeah, there we go. Little brain fart. JC says, all that said, Bosa isn't signed, which is the perfect storm, right? Because just like you alluded to when we started talking about this, I said this yesterday on my channel. I'm in pre-panic mode, meaning like I'm this close to
concerned.
Being extremely concerned.
I'm concerned.
But I said I won't hit full-blown 100% panic alarm bells going off until Sunday, until it's a week away, and then we are genuinely concerned about Nick Bosa actually playing week 1. Because how I see it, Nick Bosa at minimum needs a week of preparation for an actual game. He needs to go through the game plan. He needs to he hasn't been in Santa Clara all year. He needs some acclimation process. So I don't expect them to just be like, oh, we're going to fly in Nick Bosa on Saturday and he's going to play week 1. No, I want to see him at minimum on Sunday. That, or at least hear that information, because if we get into the week, like legit week 1, and he's not signed, then I'm like, oh wow, he really might not play week 1, and that's when I'm smacking the panic button then. But it's just a perfect storm, right? Because we are in a realm of territory we didn't expect to be. We didn't expect to be here. We didn't expect this to take this long. We expected Nick Bosa to be signed by like the first day of pads and training camp. Here we are creeping into week 1. So it plays on our emotions, right? It plays on kind of, we are all concerned. Nick, you have you have John Lynch talk about his deadline, which was 3 weeks out before week 1. Okay, well, we're well beyond that to get him acclimated. He goes on to say he's concerned about the situation.
I didn't like that.
Right. So everyone is already preloaded with like, where's our best player right now? And he's not signed. So with the Reddit thing, it just like, it's a perfect social experiment of like how, again, it just plays on people's prior emotions and how they already feel about it. And then like, you're like, well, it might not be true, but like I'm going to freak out about it. You know what I mean?
And I think the quarterback discussion really masked concern about Nick Bosa. I mean, I think we all kind of just felt like, you're good, bro. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for joining, man. DJ Aram says, let's go Spicy Squad. Smash that like button. Sorry, Jay, I had to upgrade my card again. No problem, man. No problem, bro. Good to see you again, as always. But I think the discussion surrounding Trey Lance, Sam Darnold kind of just put that on the back burner. And we all, I mean, for me, I've been on autopilot when it comes to being asked about Nick Bosa. I've like done radio spots in different parts of the country, and they ask me, and I'm just like, they'll get it done. Not really too worried about it. But I'd be lying on August 30th if I wasn't concerned. I'm not like, my concern level's at a 6. Like, it just is. And for a lot of the reasons that you were talking about, the game planning, you were about to install a game plan for a team that the Pittsburgh Steelers are ready to go. And that this feels like a season where the 49ers cannot afford to start slowly. They can't. They can't come out of the gate with a loss or an ugly loss or a game where they're just like, either turning the ball over or they are killing themselves with penalties or they're just not looking like the team that they were last year. Because the way the 49ers finally get this thing done is that number 1 seed. And you can't mess around and lose games early in the season, even though there is a precedent where the 49ers turn it around. I think if you want to have the best chance to end up in Vegas in the Super Bowl, the road through the NFC has to go straight through Santa Clara. Every single game has to go through Santa Clara. So if Philly wants to win, come in and take it then. You don't want to go to Philly again. Everything else, other teams, like, fine. But you've got to lock this in early. The only time the 49ers have had a hot start under Kyle Shanahan is in 2019 when they started out 6-0. But the offense still didn't come out in a grand way against Tampa Bay, right? It was, thank you, Jameis Winston, for throwing a bunch of interceptions and throwing pick sixes and stuff, and you just did enough. It would be really nice for the 49ers to come out, start fast, win a game that's tough in Pittsburgh, but don't look lethargic and don't look like a messy team like you have during Kyle Shanahan's tenure, which is, it's not my opinion, it's objective that literally – Week 1 is a tough time for the 49ers under Kyle Shanahan. And to go a step further, Kyle Shanahan, whenever he's been the offensive coordinator for other teams, the same sort of idea. So this is the wrong time for Nick Bosa to try and miss a game, because I'm going to repeat what I said earlier. So, if you didn't hear, the 49ers need Nick Bosa way more than Nick Bosa needs the San Francisco 49ers. Nick Bosa is like the probably most important player on their team. 100%. Everything goes with him. And if he can mask things on the back end because he's so dominant, you don't want to start seeing those cracks about cornerback depth or what else is going on. You don't want to see that. You don't want to see that early on, because now all that would do was add more leverage to Nick Bosa. Like, if they go out there in week 1 and that defense gets no sacks and Kenny Pickett's sitting in the pocket and he's letting that thing go to George Pickens and Deontay Johnson and they're picking them apart and that defense is coming to play and TJ Watt's a menace like he normally is, Nick Bosa doesn't have any incentive to be like, oh my God, I better just sign whatever offer they have. Nick Bosa has every incentive to walk in and be like, since you want to play around, $5 more million, $10 more million, because you need me. I don't need you. That's the part that scares me a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that's abundantly clear, and that's why we're in this spot, is because he's not – it feels like they're not bending the knee to the 49ers. They're like, this is where we need to be, and we're not budging. So – that might be hard, and there might be a number that the 49ers weren't anticipating, and that might be harder for them to meet. But at a certain point, that's the way negotiations work. He's arguably the best player in the NFL right now. So, not non-quarterback for sure. And so what are you going to pay that guy? This guy is a generational talent. And you got to pay out the nose for that. And it is what it is. The salary cap is going to continue to go up during his time. Players behind him are going to continue to get paid. So you got to pay. You almost got to pay like the inflation on him too. It's not like you're just paying the value now. Yep. You're also paying like the inflation rate, because if he's going to reset the market, people are going to keep using his deal to really get their deals done. So he's got to go almost above and beyond if he really is that Aaron Donald type player, which we know he is, but a defensive end. So I again, my thought is he's going to get signed. I don't really think he's going to get traded because, I mean, talk about losing a fan base. That would send this entire fan base into a pure chaotic schism that might be unrecoverable after this offseason, because we're so exhausted. Like, you know, like I joke around, like we're the smoke chasers. We're like hunting through all the smoke and trying to, bro, I can't take any more smoke. And if an atom bomb is going to drop, like Nick Bosa getting traded, dude, it's going to be insane. Like you talk about like real pressure on the front office. That's where the real pressure comes from, I think, from the front office. And maybe that's a transition into kind of like just a quick little thought into the Trey Lance situation, because I know a lot of people are talking about like, oh, well, it's time to fire Kyle and John for missing on Trey Lance and about the whole situation. Like, I personally don't believe. I think Kyle and John have set themselves up, this roster and this organization, for long-term success. That's not a fireable offense. Missing on a prospect, it happens. Like, look at their track record. But amidst their track record, they have built a juggernaut for the most part. And that isn't fireable to me. Trey Lance is a Dallas Cowboy. We're seeing pictures of him wearing the Dallas Star. I was smiling when I found out that, you know, Dallas traded for me. This team is still an NFC favorite. You don't fire those people. I mean, you could have a different opinion than me, but that's kind of how I feel.
No, you're absolutely right. And look, I think you've said it many times. Two things can be true. This team has, you know, won a bunch of games, and they've built a culture, and they've kind of missed on the quarterback position. Now, the only thing that I will say about this is two things. One, good for Trey to, like, you know, go somewhere else, even though he's going to be quarterback 3. He's not jumping Cooper Rush or Dak Prescott, like, you know, anytime soon. But I think if you're the Dallas Cowboys, a 4th-round pick for somebody who, again, it doesn't matter what you feel about him. There's still probably people in this league that feel that there's untapped potential. I can fix him. Let's get a 4th-round pick for a quarterback that you could possibly turn around. That's small. That's a small investment, the smallest. Having said that, the San Francisco 49ers weren't going to get anything better than that either. So that's also why you kind of have to jump on that and run. The other thing is this does feel like a pivotal moment right now for Kyle and John. I'm not going to downplay that. And what I mean by that is you have pushed the chips into the middle of the table with Brock Purdy. Yes. This is it, right?
Yes.
So for better or worse, Brock Purdy has to work. And I'm not just talking about 1 year. It has to work. And I mean for years. Because Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, whatever, you know, this is Kyle's pick because it's the quarterback. The first time ever that Kyle gets to pick his guy and develop him and get him going, right? Like, and oh my God, it's the guy that Kyle wanted, and then this is the result. And then you wind up trading him, and you're telling everybody that Brock Purdy's the guy, which makes sense. He deserves to be the guy. We're not talking about, like, you know, that, but it has to work. It can't miss. Because if you're back here next year talking about, man, I don't know about the quarterback position again,
or
next year,
Cousins in here,
right? Or Kirk Cousins, right? Next year, when the offseason's over, whatever it is, however the 49ers season ends, this is what has to happen and what everybody needs to say about the quarterback position. Just like every other team that knows who their quarterback is, every single year they know they have him locked in, whether he's elite or not. Brock Purdy's the guy, and he will be the guy going forward for a long time, and there's going to be no questions asked. If you have questions next offseason, if you have questions during the season about what you've done and how you set Brock Purdy up, now you are opening yourself up to criticism about the quarterback position, which no one's going to be able to save you from. So should they be fired? Absolutely not. I think that's insane, asinine, whatever. The dumbest thing I've ever heard. No. Do they need to be held accountable for that? I don't know how you do that. A lot of fans are like, hold them accountable. How? How do you do that?
What do you do? Hold their feet to the fire? Like, literally?
But there is going to be loud grumblings and rumblings if we are back here next season without a fully committed quarterback position And that would be probably the biggest indictment of their tenure.
I definitely agree. This year is big for either rallying the fan base with them and supporting them behind their decision, which again puts a lot of pressure on Brock Purdy at the
It
same
does.
time.
It does.
It also would galvanize their decision-making process, and it would galvanize what they've been telling us. And if you've been the biggest denier of that, you would be forced, if you really do call yourself a 49er fan and you don't call yourself a quarterback fan or ex-player fan, it would force you to be like, all right, I got to trust these guys a little bit more. And I learned that a long time ago. Because I was super adamant on Trey Lance starting as a rookie. I mean, I still believe if your number one focus was developing Trey, that was the route to go. But unfortunately, we know what it is, and we don't have to keep going over it. They're trying to win now, and that's why they kept Jimmy, and we understand. Yep. So it is what it is, and it didn't work out. And we are here today where Brock Purdy is your quarterback. He's a 7th round draft pick. We know what the story is. So it is a big year, though, because of that. And if they can continue to win football games, get into the playoffs, obviously people want Super Bowl and all that type of stuff. I understand. Both you and I are we're realistic in the sense that you don't sleepwalk into Super Bowls. Like
nobody does.
They're very difficult to get. A lot of luck is involved. You got to stay healthy. It is not just a foregone conclusion that you're just going to walk into the Super Bowl.
The best team rarely wins the Super Bowl every single
right.
year.
It's the hot team at the end of the year.
It's just
that wins the Super Bowl.
That has everything go their way. And that's a lot of people downplay how the luck thing is, right? Think about this. The Kansas City Chiefs played the Tampa Bay Bucks, and the Kansas City Chiefs had their entire offensive line get injured, and they were playing second stringers against that ferocious front. And literally the great Patrick Mahomes couldn't do anything about it. You're telling me that's not bad luck at all? You're telling me that right off the bat, like right then, if they would have had all their guys, that the Tampa Bay Bucks would have washed them in that way? Absolutely not. But that's just how it goes. And that's just part of winning a Super Bowl. That's why there's teams that you're like, I have no idea how they won a Super Bowl. Everything broke their way, and you do need a little bit of luck. I think that's the hard part. And again, if it was so easy to win Super Bowls, then why would anybody not, we had Brady basically win every single one, and now we're going to have Patrick Mahomes basically winning every single one. Why aren't 30 other teams besides the 49ers just saying, let's just go win a Super Bowl. Let's just get it done. Like this is the year. You know what? Last year, we were messing around. This year, we're going to go get the Lombardi, and we're going to get it done. Why doesn't that happen? Why doesn't that happen? Seriously.
Yeah, seriously. So, yeah, I agree. It's a big year, but we do have a little bit of news that just dropped right now. Per the San Francisco 49ers, all 16 players have been filled to the team's practice squad, and I will read them off for you, and then I'll give you an opportunity to react. Maybe it's just that's a natural transition for us anyways, to switch off to some of this stuff. So, defensive lineman Alex Barrett, fullback Jack Coletto, wide receiver Chris Conley. I like that one. Defensive lineman Marlon Davidson, tight end Troy Fumagalli, offensive lineman Alfredo Gutierrez. He's part of the International Pathway Program, so we saw that coming. Running back Brian Hill, cornerback Quantrez Knight, who actually was had a claim in him for him from the Arizona Cardinals, but they had a priority on a different cornerback.
That's fantasy football, people. That happens. If you put in a claim on one, you can only get one. You can't get both.
Exactly. So that then put him back in the opportunity for the 49ers to sign him to the practice squad. So Quantrez Knight comes back on a formality. Offensive lineman Corey Luciano, wide receiver Tay Martin, defensive lineman T.Y. McGill, linebacker Curtis Robinson, wide receiver Willie Snead, cornerback Trey Swilling, offensive lineman Leroy Watson, wide receiver Isaiah Winstead, and as you know, Jason, Ilm Manning, Keith Ishmael are active roster members of the Arizona Cardinals, and Deshaun Jameson is on the active roster for the Carolina Panthers, and Joey Fisher signs with the Steelers practice squad. What is your overall take from that whole practice squad situation?
Well, Joey Fisher signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers is gamesmanship, them trying to figure out the 49ers playbook and the things that they run. So kudos to the Steelers. Yeah, this is good. I like the T.Y. McGill thing. I would have thought he would have been able to make the 53, but there's just so many good players. What I noticed is that we've got a lot of players that are the fourth version of that. Willie Snead, the fourth. Leroy Watson, the fourth.
That's your big
That's my big huge takeaway is that we've got the 49ers had more hyphenated players. Marcelino McCrary-Ball would have been one of them, but they love their hyphenated players. Yeah.
Marcelino McCrary-Ball's not on that list.
Yeah, he did not make it back. So he is not. That's the one that I'm kind of looking at right now where I'm just like, wow, I'm actually shocked. I thought he would have snuck back on the practice squad. But Alex Barrett, by all accounts, was looking good. Everybody loves Jake Coletto. Chris Conley is going to be valuable depth because you don't know what's going on with Danny Gray, with the injury, things like that. You don't know how that's going to work. So for right now, this just feels like a formality, and it's not done until they start making IR moves. And you don't know how the 53 is going to be fixed. So not really too many surprises here. But yeah, I mean, these are guys that, you expect to make it through. Troy Fumagalli is somebody that played really well as well. Braden Willis made the 53. Our little and I know coach is going to speak in 7 minutes, but victory lap time about Kevin Latu.
So per sources, last state of the franchise, Jason did make a prediction. Let's run it back. Let's refresh our memories on what that was. I'll play it right here. Let me know if you got sound. Give me a thumbs up.
No sound.
No sound?
No sound.
Oh gosh, it's
Should I play it?
Yeah. If you can.
Yeah.
It sometimes messes with
let me airdrop.
Let me try this one more time.
I'll be honest with you, man. I would have thought another third round pick would have had a phantom injury that would have put him on IR, and I would have thought that was Cam Latu, where they would have found a way to redshirt him to get him developed, because I don't think you can justify cutting Latu at this point right now. But I would have thought of any of the third round picks, it would have been Latu that they would have said, hey, he sustained an injury in practice and he's going to sit out the year because we want to get his drops in order and all that stuff.
Well, Jason,
what's going on in Santa Clara, Brad?
You're doing the Brian Windhorst.
Why would they do that? What are they doing over there? The 49ers know how to manipulate the roster. A meniscus injury. When did this happen? How did this happen? It felt like a moment right there for them, because if you cut Cam Latu with a third round pick, if you cut him, do you know how bad that looks?
Right.
That looks awful. So you can't cut him, but you can leave him around under the guise of the injury and just say, well, this is your redshirt year while he gets his head in order, possibly works on the jugs machine, gets the drops in order. But yeah, man, for all the times that we get it wrong, I like when we get it right. And that felt inevitable based on the way he was playing and based on his draft capital. You cannot cut a guy like that after you drafted him in the third round, especially considering your luck in the third round. That would just be another one of those, like, pick 101. Like, I don't understand what you guys were thinking when you could have had this person, could have had this person. So at least for now, I'm sure the pick will continue to be scrutinized, but for now, you've gotten yourself to a point where you've bought yourself some time, at least, from the criticism.
Yeah, so, I mean, I was pretty adamant that the 49ers were going to keep 4 tight ends, and Braden Willis was going to make the active roster. It did kind of feel like they were trying to hide him a little bit there towards the end, because he really wasn't getting a lot of run in preseason. But the 49ers, like you talked about, they put Latu on IR and they kept 4.
Hold on. Can I ask you a question? I just opened up my Instagram real quick and I just saw that you just put something up 20 seconds ago. How on earth? How on earth are we on this live stream and you're moderating everything as well too? You're doing all those things. How on earth were you able to lift that? Because I was just looking at the press report too from the 49ers. How on earth were you able to get that, put a background on it, and then just put it up on IG casually and then just like hop right? Like, you are the definition of locked in, dude. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. I can barely answer a text message on a stream, like, when it comes through, because my mind can't do it. Like, for you to be able to do it, like, I literally just opened it up 20 seconds ago. SF Niners, all of the people that made the practice squad. Just, you know what? I'm just impressed. That's all. I'm just impressed. That's all I'm gonna say.
There you go, right there. No, it's a reflex, to be honest. It's just like, it's muscle memory at this point. Like it just happens. I've been on streams so many times when news has broken and just have to
Is it,
multitask, man. I'm
is
like
that
the dog
that
from Up, where it's just like squirrel, and like
scroll?
I just run
Is
with
that
it. Like,
is that why sometimes I can't get my call answered because you're just like you're running through like a post or something like that?
100%. Also, too, if you text me and I'm doing something and I see it, and then it goes out my mind, out to the other because I'm in the middle of doing something else, and then I just completely forget about it. Like, bro, the biggest ADHD brain, and I'm so like just used to multitasking, muscle memory at this point.
Breaking news: Brad Graham has finally disclosed why he curbs me all the time.
It's because I'm constantly making freaking 49ers posts because they keep us on the edge of our seat. So what? Let's see. We've talked about.
Trey
I want to.
Lance,
We've talked about
53.
Trey Lance. We've talked about Nick
But
Bosa.
is coach about to speak?
Coach is about to speak in 2 minutes, so we actually got through pretty much most of the stuff that we wanted to talk about. I just wanted to show this, man. This one kind of, because we were just talking about it, and you know, seeing that Marcelino McCrary-Ball didn't make it to the practice squad, which I don't know. I don't know if he signed somewhere else,
I didn't
but
see anything about that, but
he
yeah.
did just post this. He said gratitude, and he did show, some pictures of him, with the 49ers. I really liked Marcelino McCrary-Ball, man. I was pretty bullish on him being able to make this roster this year. I was not anticipating the rise of Jalen Graham. And also DFF played super well this preseason, and to me totally earned the spot. But yeah, man, it sucks to see. I had a lot of high hopes for Marcelino. I still think there's plenty of opportunity for him to grab on somewhere. But it is crazy though that this business is cutthroat, man. Like this last week since we did State of the Franchise is just proof that this business is cutthroat. Like the Latu situation, Trey Lance, like it we get so emotional, and we, because we're on the outside looking in, so we have our favorite players, we have guys that we like, we have rooting interest, we have all this types of stuff, but at the end of the day, it is a business, and these guys have to make cutthroat moves to make sure that their roster is intact. So things are going to happen that we maybe didn't anticipate, and it's a tough business at the end of the day, man.
Yeah, and again, we've talked about it. The 49ers have so much talent that good football players are not going to make it, and that has nothing to do with them. But yeah, Kyle Shanahan is about to speak. It's actually up, so like you want to make sure you get the link up so we can at least listen. I do have a hard stop in 30 minutes, but yeah, let's at least hear what Kyle has to say, because he's going to talk about the 53-man roster, all that stuff as well too. So stick around with us, as opposed to going to the San Francisco 49er page. You'll be able to hear it here. That was kind of weird to not have him revert back to the practice squad. Maybe he refused. Maybe he doesn't want to sit again. And I knew that the team liked this. Go ahead, go for it.
Marcelino McCrary-Ball has signed with the New York Jets practice squad.
No way. Of course he did. You know who did that?
Robert
Saleh.
All gas, no brakes.
Yeah, man. I didn't even get to watch the new Hard Knocks, but I heard it was really good today too.
I haven't watched it either.
Yeah, I heard Aaron Rodgers.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, you're good. You're good. But yeah, it's a little bit of again, the 49ers, I believe, were one of 3 teams that had the most players poached off their waiver wire and stuff like that. And again, like a lot of teams look
rosters.
Yeah, and a lot of teams look at the 49ers and they say, well, they evaluate players very well. We're going to take shots on the players that they've looked at and try to get something from them. So, yeah.
Another reason why they shouldn't be fired, right? Because they clearly know how to build a quality roster.
Jason Poe didn't make it, unfortunately. He struggled mightily.
He's on the wait. He's not on the practice squad.
Nope, he didn't make it either. No,
he didn't.
No,
they moved off Poe.
Yes,
you're right. They didn't.
Yeah.
Oh boy, I didn't even see that.
Too small, man. I mean, look, again, everybody gets wrapped up in like, oh, he can run routes and he's a fullback. You gotta like go with known commodities. Unfortunately, it always kind of felt like he was going to be left out. And then,
I mean, I didn't think he was going to make the roster at all, but I thought
yeah,
for sure he would have come back to the practice squad just based on, like how he hasn't played terribly. Like it wasn't the best, but it also wasn't the worst.
yeah,
Um,
he's just too small to play. I think at the level that people want. Like in terms of like alignment. The versatility is cool.
No, I get it. Like,
Yeah.
if you're going to be a small player, you have to be in the upper echelon of like being a small player. Like you can't be kind of average as a small player. You have to be a Darren Sproles. You have to be, you know, a Grimes or whoever. Like you got to be at the top of your game if you're going to be if you're a short king, for lack of a better word. But I mean, also on the flip side, look at Il Manning. He's on the active roster for the Cardinals right now. So it's a cutthroat business. Again, I understand you run the numbers, you run the percentages and all that type of stuff, and you're gonna it's gonna come out more often than not that if you have high-end measurables, you'll find more success in the league. But I'm not a big fan of one size fits all. I think, we talk about it all the time with the quarterbacks. Like it comes down to like your mental makeup.
Here we go.
See it.
Here we go.
Hey, everybody, let's get this set up.
All right.
Let's listen to Coach talk.
But anyways, while Coach gets up here and gets ready to talk, it comes down to the intangibles. Like again, we've talked about this so many different times, and it's just like an element that people have a hard time evaluating. It is really hard to evaluate because there's psychology baked into it and all that type of stuff. But
go ahead.
Are you encouraged by Jake Moody's status with no kicker on the practice squad, or is that just?
Of course, ask about the kicker.
It's still fluid. Most likely we'll have one by the end of this weekend. But I am encouraged how he's been this week.
Have you agreed to bring someone in? Or
we haven't agreed yet. We're still looking into some practice squad guys.
But practice squads sort of suggest that it's a short-term issue with Moody.
Yes. Yeah.
Are you planning to start anyone on IR 153?
Yeah, we still got to move 2 more guys to IR, which we haven't told them yet. So I can't really say right now.
Kyle, Kittle didn't practice the other day. Is that just a rest day?
No, we're just taking care of him right now.
2 guys.
Still stuff from lingering a little bit from him that it has missed him some time, and we're not going to practice him today either. And hopefully we can get him going on Monday.
Heard about the Roth didn't throw as much or at all early in the practice pitch count. Is that a new thing or was that scheduled? Is there any?
No, that goes back to our same numbers that we decided on like 2 months ago. I think I'm going to mess up the numbers, but it was like 700 throws a week or something. And a week before we plan on deloading this week and trying to cut that in half. And
Coach is tired of everybody's questions.
Practice and tomorrow.
He's so pissed.
Yeah, he's fine.
He's sick of it, man.
Numbers are cut in half.
Yep.
For the whole week.
A little while ago, you said the Bosa thing was going as you expected. Would you have expected him to sign by right now?
I thought it would come probably to this time, just looking at the history of those things. And I'm really hoping it gets done. I know they're working tirelessly at it. John, Hamp, Prague, I know their team is. But hopefully we can get him in here sooner than later.
Is there any way you can imagine this team not having him on the team, say, if this thing goes on into the regular season?
Yeah, I can imagine anything. Doesn't mean I like that picture. Of course not. You guys know how we feel about Nick, and we all know how good of a player he is. So hopefully we can come to terms soon and get him here as fast as possible.
Kyle Shanahan, big on imagination.
From other edge rushers for now.
That was a big brain answer.
That you could be held over just in case the worst does come to fruition for week 1.
We got to feel that way always. I mean, Nick missed 1 game last year. He had that ACL that 1 year, so you got to always be prepared to play without not just Nick or anybody, but hopefully that doesn't happen.
There's no way that you guys would consider trading Nick?
No. Yeah. I mean, I haven't talked to many people about that, but I know how I feel pretty strongly. I think everyone would agree that.
I'm sure you're going to say all roster decisions were difficult, but were there any particular positions where there was maybe more spirited discussion than others?
I mean, there was only a couple of positions where there wasn't much. It's a real stressful time because, I mean, you guys saw we lost 3 guys the other teams took. That's kind of the decision on everything. I mean, it's how to keep guys on your roster for the whole year, for week 1. There's certain ways to do that. I mean, you see other teams, it's a gamble with everything. There's a number of guys that you want. There's guys that you feel the other league will want, to where if you expose them to waivers, they'll get taken. There's some guys you might want less that you don't think will get exposed. So you got to play that gamble with every position, and lost a couple today, but I also felt good with the number of ones we retained.
I'm sure you're always weighing the kind of short term versus long term, like who's ready to help us now versus what they could be later. Is that even more true with a team like this and a roster like this, where maybe you do lean a little more to we need guys who can help us right now?
Yeah, but you can't just think one way or the other in any of those situations. I think after our first 2 years here, we've thought a lot more the other way. I mean, you always want to think of who can help now, but you can't do that at the expense of just killing yourself for the future. When we first got here, that was a lot easier. To give guys more opportunities, to bring guys in and take more shots on people. But, we've developed a lot of guys here. There's guys who have been backups for a long time. And when you get to work with backups for a long time, it's really hard to bring in some guys to do better than those guys right away. So that's why there's so much pressure on the off season, and hopefully trying to get OTAs, trying to keep guys healthy for camp. So you give guys who have the ability to beat people out, you give them a chance, but it's tough in this league.
Were really good against the run, but the last 2 preseason games gave up about 6.5 yards a carry. What did the film show? How concerned are you about the run D going into the opener?
I'd be extremely concerned off the preseason games, which there's, I don't want to look too much into that, but you also got to, you can't ignore it either. I didn't like how we were versus the Raiders either in the run. Last week, I thought, we had about over 100 yards on about 3 plays that a guy got out of his gap, and then we didn't stop the bleeding with the middle third guy. So that added up. Then I didn't think we were very prepared for the running quarterback there in the 3rd and 4th quarter. So hopefully we better be better this year. We've always done pretty good in the past with the run. I think we were number 1 last year, and that's something that's important to us on both offense and defense, and I expect us to do better in the regular season.
Expect to have a swing tackle this year. Do you think that Pryor will be right side and Moore will be left side?
I mean, right now it's that way. We're trying to mix them and match so we can be ready for both. I mean, they both prefer where they're at, but you don't always have that luxury. So now we know they're both on our team. We got to keep preparing them to play both.
With Ray and Danny Gray, is there a chance Ray can go week 1? And then does Danny, how's his shoulder? Does he have to see a specialist or anything?
No, we've already told Danny, so Danny will be one of the guys going on IR.
Wow.
He'll be longer. Ray does have an outside chance, but still keeping our fingers crossed for him.
Danny Gray to IR.
You guys ran out of
sense.
IR.
Chris Conley's going to come up.
Do you have to approach using those differently maybe earlier this season than you did a year ago?
You got to take it into account. I mean, you plan on being there the whole year, but when you sit and make too many plans for being somewhere at the end of the year and you mortgage that stuff at the beginning, sometimes you aren't there at the end of the year. So you gotta learn from that. I wish we had more last year. We ended up being about 1 short. I think that's why we had to make that decision on Ridgeway towards the end of the year. But so yeah, it's hopefully we have better luck to where we can use all of ours, and it's not an issue though.
Fostering an environment here where the practice squad guys realize, for lack of a better word, that they're part of the team. I think in some past years, maybe sometimes there's kind of like, oh, you're a practice squad, but it seems like here you use them and they're aware.
Oh, yes. I mean, I think practice squads are one of the most important things in NFL building. I mean, and thank God we have 16 now instead of 10. That used to make it so much harder, but that's how you develop guys, and that's usually your 3rd string. You got guys who you're 1 injury away and they're not on your practice squad anymore. It's really hard to just pull someone in off the street who's not on someone else's team to bring them in and get them ready on just a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday practice to play on Sunday. So you need guys that you're working with, guys you're developing, and especially once they've allowed us to put vets on the practice squad, that allows certain receivers, DBs, pass rushers, everyone to where they're just 1 injury away and they're going to be a big part of our team come week 1.
Jalen Graham, your backup Mike right now?
No. You'd have to see if he got in. I can't tell Pittsburgh. You'd have to figure it out, but yeah, it's a secret.
How did he look like he was playing with the twos the last game? How did he do in that role?
He did a good
John
job, good
Lynch.
enough to make the team.
John Lynch.
That's Dwight Clark. That's Dwight Clark. Yeah. John Lynch?
John Lynch. About Jameson early in camp, it seemed like, geez, maybe
he has a lot to make the roster. Obviously, he didn't. Did he lose some momentum throughout the process?
Yeah, he did a little bit. Definitely wish we could have kept him here. So I was bummed about that this morning.
Yeah.
Was there thought with Brandon Allen whether to let him try to get him through, or do you think that he might get picked up?
Yeah, we wish we could have, but we had pretty good knowledge that we think he would have got claimed. And if there was a third quarterback out there you could put on your practice squad you felt as good with, then it wouldn't be an issue. But
Bailey Zappi,
when he's going to get claimed and how we feel about him, it was important to keep him.
I was surprised by that.
Were you surprised that Hill Manning got claimed, or were you just didn't have a spot for him?
No, I mean, we didn't have the numbers for him, but we thought we could get him in our practice squad, and Arizona took a shot at a number of guys. So we'll see how that works out.
As it relates to Ayuk and hitting his landmarks, a couple of guys have talked about how important that has been in his development. Beyond just the physical part of.
You mean landmarks like on the field?
Yeah. Right.
There you go. Impressive.
Is that Eric Branch?
Yeah.
Is this going to lead to an injury question?
Is this Eric Branch? He's always cooking him.
Physical aspect of, there's a defensive back that doesn't want you to reach the landmark. How much of with him has been the discipline of, not freelancing and just saying, this is my job and I'm required to do this and I'm not going to mess around with it.
I think it just takes. It's not necessarily the discipline. It's not easy. People don't do that because they don't want to. Sometimes it's hard to move people that are in your way. You're not allowed to just go push them out of the way. So there's certain things you got to get where sometimes you're vulnerable and you go past your landmark, which is a problem. But sometimes that makes people move so you can get back to your landmark. It's just different styles of how people play. And I think someone must have told you that. And because I don't think you came up with landmarks on your own, but it is true. I mean, it's very important when you disperse an offense and you disperse 5 eligibles. Guys don't stack each other. It's pretty easy versus zone. It's imperative versus zone, but then you get man-to-man and people are jamming and stuff and different looks and you get pushed into certain areas. And even if you beat your man, it's really irrelevant because you're running into other guys and the quarterback can't get you the ball. And also our quarterbacks try not to get them to stare down routes. So they got to be in a certain spot at a certain time, kind of in the timing of when the quarterback's there. And that's something that you're constantly talking with all eligibles on. And even though a line, there's a timing and rhythm to everything to get 11 guys to play together.
With Ayuk, was it physically learning how to run routes? Just that aspect of how to.
Yeah, just the experience of it, being in different spots. I mean, when you've ran most of your routes from 4 yards outside the numbers, now you're running the exact same routes from 4 yards inside the numbers. Sometimes you're doing it with motion. Sometimes you're snapping it by the tackle. Sometimes we move guys in the backfield to do it. There's just different angles to everything. Just like a corner who guards people outside the numbers all day, and now he's got to come in and guard people inside the numbers. You're moving differently. There's different ways to attack people. There's also other traffic spots. So how do you beat the guy in front of you but get over the extra linebacker inside? And that's all just experience. Some guys are really natural at it. But it's one of the harder things in football.
Well, you've had a ton going on at quarterback the last few years. I know you're not intentionally trying to have a lot of things going on, but you've got Jimmy now commenting on it, or Trey and showing up in Dallas. Do you pay attention to any of that? And do you think all that's over, and are you relieved if you have this kind of rotating thing?
I love this. Go, Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, I try not to pay attention to outside of here. I try to deal with the people in here that I have to deal with. And I have felt very good about that. I did see Trey. I was happy watching him actually while I was eating lunch with his press conference in Dallas. And Trey is as real as it gets. And that's how he talks in here. That's how he is every day. So it was cool to see him handle that the right way. And he did seem genuinely kind of happy. And I feel he's in a good position to move on and do better there. Jimmy, the comments are the comments. I'm really not concerned about his comments.
Any relief do you sense that this kind of era of lots of changing is over?
Took the high road.
Yeah. I mean, the era of changing is, when we got here, we waited 10 weeks, made a trade for a quarterback, played 5 games, and then we made him the highest paid quarterback of all time at the time. Then he played 2 of the next 5 years and did really good in those 2 years. His injuries for 3 of those 5 years were legit. It was rough on him, rough on us. And then we made a move to go to a younger quarterback, and that's what we did. We thought he'd be ready in 2 years, and he wasn't. And now we have a different younger quarterback. So That's the situation.
Speaking of, I mean, Jimmy did say, it's been a weird situation over
Let's
there.
go, Matt.
Obviously, it's not the way you drew it up, but can you?
Let's go,
acknowledge
Mayoko.
It kind of has been a weird situation here last few years.
Yeah, I think anytime you trade up to the third pick in the draft and it doesn't work out, that's a weird situation. But that is the situation. So that's what happened. I don't think it's that weird. It's unusual that doesn't work out. But I wouldn't think that's weird. I think it's unusual.
But weird is unusual.
And he did say it was weird too.
The fact that he said goodbye, the day after that one season's over, and he's, all the things that happened with him physically. He comes back. He's, on the side field and ends up re-signing and starting, and it just seems
Let's
like
go, Matt.
I mean, it's been a
Mayoko's
unique.
cooking.
Do you remember why that happened?
I remember why everything happened, but I'm just saying it's been a unique situation.
I agree. It's been unique.
Oh,
He's
Kyle
spicy.
cooking Matt. Yeah.
He's spicy.
Yes, guys.
Kyle cooking Matt Mayoko.
They cut it. They're like, oh, he's getting spicy. Get him out of here.
Get him out of here. Uh-oh. Mayoko, look, not because I have like a nice little relationship with Matt, like
come
weird
on.
flex.
Come on. That's your boy.
I love Matt
That's
Mayoko.
bad.
I love Matt Mayoko, but he is clearly upset with the way things have been handled and how like stuff got out. Like if Matt Mayoko is the one being spicy on you, you've done a little you've done something because Matt's chill.
We talked about this last week, man. Like if you've been covering this team and you've been covering this quarterback situation, you have caught strays for no reason based on whoever you stand, right? So whether it's like the main beat reporters, whether it's content creators, you're catching strays. So we talked about this, right? Like, with how everything and they didn't meet with the media, remember? They met with KMBR, and you saw all the beat reporters talk about how not it was like passive aggressive shots. Like you talk about subtweeting, right? Like you get subtweets here or there from people. We had beat reporters subtweeting the 49ers and how they handled that situation with Trey not going to practice, then them not going to meet with the media, then Fred you had beat reporters subtweeting the 49ers. It was one of the crazier things I've ever seen. And that's how I was like, oh, they messed up, or they just didn't handle it the right way, or how the media would perceive it should have been handled.
I have very good intel that not only was Matt Mayoko upset with the way that whole day went down, but many of the respected beat writers were upset that they decided to eschew the press conference and go to a team-based radio pre-recorded interview. And poor Fred Warner had to go right up there. I have it on good terms that is absolutely true. And I like it. I like it, man. I mean, look, I don't care because I'm not media. I don't have to like worry about like how that works or whatever. But I'm not gonna lie and sit here like I'm not entertained.
We have to find the entertainment. We have to find the entertainment in all this stuff, man. Like it's been a wild off season. Like just the storylines and everything, and how everything played out, and the way Trey Lance era ended. Like it was nuts. And we got spicy Kyle right there at the end with Matty Mayoko.
So like, and then Jose says, "Landmark, wow, that's impressive." That was so condescending. That is so like don't patronize.
You guys know what you're talking. You know what you're
Oh,
talking.
yes. Oh, landmark on the field. That's impressive. Condescending, patronizing. I love it. I love it so much, man. Let's get more. Let's move away from it just being the guy that everybody thinks is antagonizing, which is Grant. And let's just have the whole Bay Area media now start to turn into asking questions like that.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm on my villain arc. Matt Mayoko's on his villain arc. That's what covering this team will do to you. Like, I've always been optimistic when it comes to covering this team. But
The kicker pick has turned me into the kid from The Incredibles. What's his name? The guy who came back. Like, they're pushing us all, man. They're pushing us all.
Bro, right now the 49ers got the entire media content creator base in their villain arc phase right now, based on how much of this crap we've had to deal with. And like, again, I get it. Our fan base is passionate and they're gonna feel how they feel, but boy, it's been wild, man.
And my source is not Grant at all, actually. You know, I've made more friends than Grant in the media business. So it's not just Grant.
Yeah, man. There are a lot of upset people about that whole
Oh, yeah.
situation.
Oh, yeah.
Played out.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's their livelihood, right? At the end of the day, that's why they're put in that position to ask the questions, pull quotes, write articles, provide the access to their readership, and like that's the give and take of what team relationship with media relationship. And we know the 49ers, they're a very tight-knit group when it comes to who they provide access to.
Syndrome is the Incredibles villain. That's it. Yeah, Syndrome. They got me on my Syndrome.
Incredible boy.
Incredible boy. I'll show you who's a boy. Kicker at 99.
I love Syndrome, bro. I've been
I love
wanting
The
to
Incredibles.
go.
That's such a good movie.
I've been wanting to go as Syndrome for Halloween for a long time. Actually, even talked because we got the whole gang over here. I was like, man, might be my opportunity to do the Syndrome with the red hair.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. But let's see. Kiwana says Kyle was petulant as a child. Matt stuck his finger in his ribs.
Like poked him, like like he's pause.
I wouldn't even say he poked him. I mean, maybe from Kyle's perspective, but I think they were pretty valid questions because obviously people want to know about this stuff. And Kyle he's going to keep it buttoned up as best he can. And I think you could sense when Kyle's getting emotional.
Oh yeah.
And then that's when he says the things, right? That's like, he's good at staying buttoned up until he starts getting emotional. Then we don't know if we're going to be alive on Sunday, like you never know what you're going to get. So, yeah, I'm not surprised by that interaction. I'll say that.
Nope. I had a blast. I know I got to get out of here soon or whatever too, but yeah, I've had fun. I'll tell you, I'm having the time of my life. I'll be honest with you guys. Like, no matter what, again, whatever happens with this team, never lose your sense of humor, never lose your sense of fun. Yeah, that's why, like, when things happen and people are like genuinely upset on Twitter, like, I'm just gonna meme through it. I'm gonna meme all the way through it. Like Fred Warner, when he was told that he's got to be the guy in his Drewski, like, I'm gonna meme through it. I'm gonna always meme through it. I'm chilling. I'm vibing. Enjoy your lives, guys, because this team does not care about your livelihood or like you
or who you like or what you want. They're going to make the best decisions that they believe for their team and their future, and that's it.
They're only entertainment.
That's a good point. Like it's a bottom line business, so it's very cutthroat in the form of like making money. And stuff
I don't think we're milking the drama. We're just speaking about it. I'm having a blast. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much more I can convey that I'm having.
I don't know how you can milk this drama because they've delivered a cow to us,
right?
That needs to be milked.
We're not,
and we're thirsty. We need some calcium.
We're not milking a skinny cow here.
We're not like going out of our way, driving 3 hours into the hills, searching for a cow to milk. No. They're bringing it to our door, and they're like, "Here you go."
I'm chilling. I'm having a blast, man. I'm having the time of my life, man. Like, that's it. This is my last stream of the day. I'm having a blast. And yeah, tomorrow, guys, on my channel, you'll see Vernon Davis and I talk a little bit of football.
VD.
Yeah, and a little bit of other stuff. So yeah, I'm good. I'm straight. Is it a cow or a bull? JW says. Hey yo, that was crazy. Hey yo, pause. You know what that's from? Have you ever seen Kingpin?
No.
All right, so after the guy like loses his hand and he stops bowling, like he's trying to find this Amish dude who bowls really well, but it's hard to get them out of obviously their lifestyle. So he goes undercover to try to be there, and he comes back with this huge bucket, and he's like, well, I stayed up all night, I milked your cow, and the guy's like, we don't have a cow, we have a bull, and he's like drinking it, and it's like on his face, and he's just like, I'm gonna go brush my teeth, man. Like, because obviously there's a difference, and I'm trying to keep it PG because I know kids are watching and everything. But so good, man.
All right, I gotta add it to the list. So Kingpin, I think the cover art.
Yeah,
pops
it's
into my
about bowling.
brain.
It's about bowling. Woody Harrelson. But yeah, that scene
Yeah,
is so
no, I
good.
haven't seen it. I haven't
Bro,
seen
he's
it,
like,
so
he's
I
got
gotta
like
check it
a
out.
bucket. He's got like a bucket of it, and he's like, I milked your cow. He's like, we don't have a cow. We have a bull. I'm a child though, so I always laugh at any of the Fairley brothers. So the same guys who made Dumb and Dumber, Something About Mary, they're the ones who made Kingpin. But yeah, that's what that reference is about. Oh,
that
my
that
God.
is talk about a walk-off right there. That's a
Yeah.
phenomenal way. I gotta
Yeah.
watch Kingpin now.
Yeah.
Ponte's got Vernon Davis on the channel tomorrow.
Yes,
correct.
tomorrow first thing in the morning. I'll set a premiere. It's about a 10-minute. It's about a 10-minute thing. It's already done. It's already pre-recorded. We had a lot of things we had to talk about. He's promoted something brand new. I asked him questions about the 49ers quarterback situation. I asked him about, is there any parallels between Alex Smith and Trey Lance early on in his career? I asked him about the catch. I made sure I got all that stuff in there, but I only had 10 minutes of his time. So it's something that's pre-recorded. It'll drop in the morning, and there will be an article accompanying it tomorrow morning, first thing in the morning on Niners Nation. So both will be up. So hopefully you guys like that.
That's a good one. VD, he's hard to get, man. He's a hard one to get on the channel. So
And
good
got
job on
something else. Got something else working tomorrow morning around like 9:30. I'm gonna wait for it to get done. I don't like talking about it, but I'm gonna wait for it to get done.
It's not locked in yet.
No, it's locked in, but it's just I want to get it done. I don't really want to talk about it. So yeah, we're gonna whatchamacallit. We're gonna hold on to that too. So I'm working. I just don't like making the announcements. I like to show you, hey, I got it, man. We got this done. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel it. So good stuff, man. This was a good state of the franchise. We got to hear from Kyle Shanahan. We got to talk about, all the stuff that's gone on, down to roster cuts, all that stuff. So we packed a lot of stuff into the last hour. You and I, we can go for 2.5 hours, and we've done it before. But we're gonna get out of here for now. And again, as always, we're streaming on both channels. Make sure you pop over to both channels, sub to both, like both videos. I keep seeing people talk about Taylor Hawkins.
I think Taylor Hawkins went to IR.
IR, yeah.
IR.
He's out for the year. So he's with Zane Gonzalez and AJ Parker and Latu. So he's done for the year. So appreciate all you guys. Appreciate everyone tapping in for State of the Franchise. Who knows? I might be on live later. It's one of those days. We'll see.
Oh yeah, you will.
We'll see. But appreciate you guys. We're out of here for now. That's it for us. I'm Brad. That's Jason. We're out of here. That's Jason Aponte. I'm Brad Graham. We're going to get into it all right now.